I told you it was.
3 lines down. So we're talking about if you make Bar Mara'esh on Matzah Shabbos, we know we do, but on Matzah Yom Kippur. So Inu, the 3rd line, Inu commands Savru. When they made a bracha on Bar Mara'esh on Matzah Yom Kippur, they hold Ki Hada Amar Rabbi Yamin Bar Yefes Amar Rabbi Yechanan that Mevorchem Alahar Bei Matzah Shabbos Bei Matzah Yom Kippur. And that is V'chein. The Gemara says Amar Davar, and that is the Nohek. That's the minik that we do. So Meis Faivel asks a question: Ein Mevorchem Alahar El B'Matzah Shabbos. You don't make Bar Mara'esh only Matzah Shabbos. Hoyil v'techilas briyasu. That was when light was created. B'kivin sharaya. If you see it, mevorach yad. If you see light, you don't have to wait for your Havdalah, your regular Havdalah. Make Bar Mara'esh right away before that. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Seidrin al akais. You do it together. You don't do it right away when you see it. You do the Bar Mara'esh with your Havdalah Seder. Rabbi Yechanan alacha ki Rabbi Yehuda. So we see that only on Matzah Shabbos you make Bar Mara'esh, not Matzah Yom Kippur. Where it says like Kasha, Kam ba'ar sheshavas, Kam ba'ar hayotzim min ha'etz min ha'avanim. So in other words, if it was Shavas, if on Yom Kippur you had an existing light, a whole Yom Kippur, and comes Matzah Yom Kippur, you make a Bar Mara'esh. Rashi says, how do you have an existing light? Either you lit it before Yom Kippur, or there was a reason, Rashi says, for a chola, you lit it for a reason. So once you have that light already on Yom Kippur, you make that bracha of Bar Mara'esh at nighttime. Kan, when do you only do it on Matzah Shabbos? Is ba'ar hayotzim min ha'etz min ha'avanim. A new light that you create Matzah Shabbos and Yom Kippur. If you don't have a light, you cannot strike a match and make Bar Mara'esh. That's what we do today. Always the gabbai is running, right, Alan? He's running for that light because everybody's going to yell at him that it's getting late, right? With Matzah Yom Kippur. But you have to make sure that that light is there a whole Yom Kippur.
So if you don't, I mean, usually we light a candle to light from for Matzah Yom Kippur.
Right.
Yeah, you have
do that.
candles to the
But if you don't have
an existing light,
You probably can use the light.
Does the gabbai light? Doesn't he use that light that you have the whole time, or you light from there?
You
use the light.
No, you light from there.
You light from there.
No,
Okay.
what if you don't have that existing light?
But you can't make a Bar Mara'esh. You can't make. That's what it says. Or hayotzim min ha'etz min ha'avanim.
If your overhead light has been burning all Yom Tov.
Right. Okay. That's another. Let's go. Tana chada. Or hayotzeh. We learned the brayso. Or hayotzim min ha'etz min ha'avanim and varchem alav. That you do make a bracha of Bar Mara'esh Matzah Yom Kippur and with a new light. The Tana chada aim of varchem. So like kasha. Kan b'Matzah Shabbos. One brace is really talking about Matzah Shabbos, and kan b'Matzah Yom Kippurim. Where it says.
I'm surprised that you don't see long candles in our town before the war. The candles were like 2 feet.
Huh.
On Yom Kippur.
So they were enough.
No problem.
To total Yom Tov.
I mean, for 24 hours.
So we had enough lights.
Okay, Rebbe Mefazron. The Gemara says when Rebbe saw a light on Matzah Shabbos, he didn't wait for the Besamim and everything. He made the bracha right away. But Rabbi Chia Mikanson, he made sure he had his kais, he had his whole family around before he did the Bar Mara'esh. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Avdime, Afapi, Rebbe Mefazron. Even though Rebbe, let's say, he did see a light, but still it says Chayzev V'Soyren Ala Kais. When he made his Havdalah for his family, he went ahead and did it again. K'tei Lohaitzi Banav U'Bnei Beisai. So you have to understand, if Rebbe was ready Yotze Bar Mara'esh, why doesn't he let his family make the bracha? Why is he doing it, right? Because you just can't make brachas just like this, right? So something to think about.
No, because
Friday night is the same as making Shabbos lunch.
But for your wife, again.
Yeah, you're always yield to people.
Okay, that's what it said. They lohit to banav. So maybe in other words, they're not yotzi. But if you have your children are old enough, they should make. If they're bar mitzvah, they should make the bar mara'esh.
We know that for a woman, it's better for a man.
Right. But I'm saying when it says banav, it must be ketanim. But if they're gedolim, you just don't take it again. Since you already did it, you should let your children do it. For the Gemara now, va'or, we're saying b'matzah Shabbos ivro. You make a bracha on ar because light was created matzah Shabbos. That's what you're saying. Ay, Batanya will end up brisa. Asar devarim nivru b'erev Shabbos. 10 things were created Erev Shabbos, not Matzah Shabbos, which Bein Hashmashos, right before Shabbos. Bein Hashmashos is twilight, suffix. Elahain, what was created? The bear of Miriam, which was like Rashi says, it was a stone that where the water came out of it, and it was round. So he used to roll with them in the midbar. They didn't carry it; it was rolling with them. And also the mun, the keshes, and the rainbow for the mabul that it won't come again. The ksav, the Rashi says the kriya shema oisius, v'hamichtav, and also how you carved in the luchos the letters. V'haluchas the luchas itself. The kirvei shel Moshe, where Moshe was buried. U'ma'ara she'amad by Moshe v'Eliyahu, and the cave where Moshe and Eliyahu went to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They needed a rock to block them out of the kedushas of Kadosh Baruch Hu. Also the Psichas Pia Asan by Bilam. Upsichas Pia Aretz, also the opening of the ground to live low as Rasham when they by Adas Kairach. So this was these 10 things were created by Erev Shabbos. From Menachem Yom Mishum Aviv Afa'ar. On Erev Shabbos, even the light was created, and the parrot. The parrot is a mule. Rashi says the parrot is a crossbreed between a horse and a donkey. But here Rashi says, Ein kol chadash tachas hashemesh. Parrot Rishon, Rashi says, Nivru min ha'aretz v'lei bo min ha'klayim. It came from the aretz. It was just like, this is the mule God showed you, right? This is exactly what you have. Rabbi Yoshi, but the kasha is the or was created Erev Shabbos, not Matzah Shabbos. Rabbi Yoshi Mishum Aviv Afa Ayel. The Ayel, the ram of Avram, the Hashamir, and the little worm that carved out the stone, right? The Beis Hamikdash. Now this Ayel wasn't created and stayed around till Avram. Must have been an Alta ram then, right? It means that that ram had kids, and from that family that didn't belong to anybody, so therefore they could bring it out as a carbon, because you just can't use any animal. If it belongs to somebody, you can't bring a carbon. It's gezel, right? So they made sure that Ayel was designated, that there was never an owner for this family of this Ayel that the kids came out. It was whatever it was ownerless. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Hatzavas. In other words, also the a metal. What is it?
Tongs.
The tongs were also made.
I didn't make the first tongs.
Right. Okay. So when it says Hu Aimer Tzafsa B'Tzafsa. No, so that's why Avatzeves. In other words, who made the first tongs?
Right.
Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's
right.
it.
Saying,
but who are Yahimer? The next thing says no. Tzafsa b'tzafsa misvarada. They made this with something else, right? And uvitzafsa kamaisa manavat. So therefore, Halai must be the Peria b'idei Shemaim. He was created on Erev Shabbos. Amarlei, no, that's no raya because efshi yasenim b'tfus. You could melt things into a mold v'ikvena. In other words, v'ikvena kivan, and do it quick, so it'll come into metal. So halai beri midei adamo. So you don't have to say that the tafsir was created every Shabbos. A man actually could create that on his own with a mold. But the kashi is that we see that oil was created erev Shabbos, not Matzah Shabbos. The Gemara says like kashi, our light that we use in our house. In other words, in the world, right? Our light was created Matzah Shabbos, so therefore you make Bar Mereish. But our Gehenim was created Erev Shabbos. For the Gemara, Ardi Dan b'Matzah Shabbos. Oh, then the Gemara explains Ardi Dan b'Matzah Shabbos. Ardi Gehenim is Berev Shabbos. For the Gemara of Ardi Gehenim Berev Shabbos Ivro. You're saying the fire of Gehenim was created Erev Shabbos. Vatanya Shisha Devarim Nivru Kaidim Shnivru Ayla. Shiva Devarim. 7 things were created before the world was created. Ve'elahain, what was created? Torah, Tshuva, Gan Eden, Gehenim, B'Kisei HaKavod, U'Beis HaMikdash, V'Shmoi Shel Mashiach. Torah, how do you know it was created before the Ksiv? Hashem, Kananei, Reishes, Darkai. Before anything else, Torah was there. Now Rashi asks, if you see Rashi, Reishes, Darkai, I v'had Amar Le'il Haksav Berev Shabbos. In other words, the Ksav of the Torah was created Erev Shabbos, but now we're saying it was created before the world. How does that work out? So Rashi says, B'Ksavin shel Luchais. In other words, the Luchais letters were created Erev Shabbos. V'zu ha'isa ksuvim mitchila. What was it? Be'esh shechayra al gabel levayna. The whole text of the Torah was created with fire like black and white. But when we said before the Mechtav, Rashi says that's referring to the Luchos. Tshuva, how do you know that Tshuva, the opportunity to do Tshuva was created before the world was created? Ksiv, B'terem, Harim, Yoladu. In other words, it was already Ksiv, Teishev, Enosh, Ataka. In other words, you could already return B'toima, Tshuva, B'nei Adam. You could do Tshuva, all these things is created before the world. Gan Eden, Ksiv, Ayita Hashem, Elikim, Gan Eden, Mikedem. Not Mizrach, but it means Mikedem means before the world. Gehenim, Ksiv, Ki Aruch, Mi'esmail, before the world, Tiftach Tipoteh, which means you fall into your Yetzirah. So you see that it was created before, Gehenna was created before the world. Kisei HaKavod Beis HaMikdash, Tiksiv, Kisei Kavod Meroim Mirishon, Makai Mikdashenu. Merom is before the world. And Rashi says also, the Makai Mikdashenu Nivra Mirishon. Shemai shel Mashiach tiksiv yi shemai le'olam lifnei shemesh yanun shemai. So what do you see from here? That the Gehenim was created before the world. So why are we saying that Gehenim was created on Erev Shabbos? And for the Gemara, Amri, you're right. Chalalo hu the nivra kodesh nivra olam. In other words, the space. It's the space, but it means the foundation, the room where Gehenim is going to be was created before the world. But that fire, but the day, the fire was created by Erev Shabbos. For the Gemara of the day, Erev Shabbos Ivrei. V'tani, we learned the Bryce. Rabbi Yossi Ayime Or Shebara Hakadosh Baruch Hu was b'Sheni b'Shabbos. The fire for Gehenim was created on Monday, and ain't like Kfiyah La'ilam. It never goes out. It always punishes Risham. Shenemar ve'yetzu ve'ra'u b'pigrei anoshim ha'poishim boi ki salaltem loy tamus and v'asham loy tichbeh. Right? It doesn't extinguish. Why doesn't it say the words kitov on the second day? B'Shabbos even though it doesn't say kitov for that fire on Gehenim on Monday, but chazar v'kolol b'shishi on Erev Shabbos shenemar vayar lekim es kol asher asa v'hinei tov miyot. In other words, at Friday it's already tov miyot. Now Rashi says why? Because Rashi says lefisha rishon nedunim bo. In other words, even though it doesn't say kitov, because everybody goes through a process, unfortunately, through Gehenim, but a normal person that his affairs are not so severe, he goes through Gehenim for a 12-month period. But Rishon, in other words, their affairs are so severe, their shall Gehenim never extinguish. They're there constantly. So therefore, it is kitov that those people deserve punishment, right? So for the normal people, it's not kitov, because you have to go through the process. But for those Rishon, Rashi says, chazav v'klala. But what do you see from here? You see that what? That it was created on Monday, not Erev Shabbos. Right? El Gemara says, Chalala kaidim shenivra olam. You're right. The place where Gehenim is was created before the world. Var didei b'sheni b'Shabbos. The Gehenim's light was really on Monday. But Var didan, ours, that we had a problem, because we saw that we make a bracha Matzah Shabbos, but we see that it's created on Friday. So our ditan, our light that we use in our world, b'machshava alali bars b'erev Shabbos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had already a machshava, an intent. Erev Shabbos, we're going to create it. But like nivra on Matzah Shabbos, he didn't give the opportunity till Matzah Shabbos to bring it out. So that's why we make the bracha on Matzah Shabbos. The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Mishnei Devarim, Olu Machshava Li'Yibrais B'Erev Shabbos. Two things the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted came up with the plan to make it on Erev Shabbos. V'loi Nivru on Matzah Shabbos. Matzah Shabbos, Nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Deya B'Adam Harishon. So now Matzah Shabbos, after a Kedusha Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave knowledge to Adam Harishon, main Dugma Shel Maila, that he should be able to create the fire. Behavi, what did Adam Rishon do? He brought Shnei Avanim b'tachanun zeh. He brought 2 stones and he rubbed them against each other. V'yatzeh mehem or. So really, when it says Erev Shabbos Nivru, that was all of the machshava. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to do it, but the actual thing, the Ar was done. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Adam Rishon that ability to create it. Also, here it says, V'hevi shtei behemos. The second thing was he brought 2 behemos, V'hirkav zu bezu, V'yotzeh ben peret. And they breeded each other and they came to peret. So here you see actually that before we said the parrot was created as a parrot. And here it's saying that the man created parrot, right? So it's interesting. You have to understand what's the difference. So maybe here HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it on his own. He just wanted to show. Here's a message basically to Adam Rishon. The Adam Rishon sinned so quickly. So that's why maybe he created his parrot to show that a parrot is a once in a life. Nothing happens afterwards because they don't have children. The parrot, it's on your own. So if you sin, also that's a message to a human being that if you sin, you're on your own. You can't go on in life. The Gemara says now, Reb Shimon Gamliel, the parrot is being made anahaya. The parrot actually was not created Matzah Shabbos. It came in the days of Anna, later on, in Bereshit. Shenemar, who Anna, the person Anna was Hashem Matzahs as Hayamim. Hayamim Bamidbar. So he created the parrot. The people that are darshaning, Rashi says the Mikras Tumim, the hidden psukim that we don't understand, that it says that Anna was a pasul haya. He was like a mamzer. Why? Rashi says, Sha'achiv mi'imai haya aviv. His brother from his mother was his father. We'll see later on. The fikach hevi psul ha'ilam. Since he himself was a pasul, he brought this parrot into the world. Shnemar, it says, Eila b'nei seir achuri. It lists Anna as a brother to Tzivon, right? That they were brothers. So Tzivon and Anna were brothers. And then it says, V'ksiv Eila b'nei Tzivon. And now Tzivon's son was Ayav Anna. If he was his brother, how could he be his son? Ela Melame, the Gemara says, Sheba Tzivon al Imo Tzivon. In other words, came on his had a relationship with his mother. V'hayla Mimeno Anna. So Tzivon was Anna's father, but at the same time, he was also a brother through his mother, right? Through his mother. So we see that he was Anna, so therefore that's why he brought this parrot into the world. What's the riot? Maybe there were 2 people called Anna. One was the son of Seir. They were brothers to Tzivon, and Tzivon, all of a sudden named, and you have that in the family. You have machlekes sometimes in a family that you name a child, all of a sudden you can't name him, that's the uncle's name. How'd you do that? So here too, you had the Anna with the same name. Amar Rava. Amina Milsa Shmuel like Amra Umana Shmuel. Rav is saying that I'm saying something that Shmuel himself did not say. Iketa Amre Amra Papa Amina Milsa Shmuel Malka le Amra Umana Rava. That Rava was the Shmuel Malka. They're called Shmuel Malka. Rashi explains it's like the last wide line. Kidina Yotzim Pia Melach Shemiskaimim. In other words, whatever you say, it's like they have the Kayach Shmuel or Rava like Shmuel Malka. Whatever they say, it becomes Mekuyim. Amar Kra, it says Hu Anna. It says Hu Anna, and Hu Anna the Mikar. It's the same Anna. So if the same Anna must be he was a puzzle, and therefore through him, since Anna was a puzzle, he created an animal, also a parrot that's puzzle. Tana Rabbana. Asara Devarim Nivru Erev Shabbos Ben Hashmoshos. 10 things were created in Erev Shabbos, like we listed before: the Elohim Be'er, Uman, Bekeshes, Haksav, Amichtav, Haluchais, Kivrei Shel Moshe, Umarish, Amad by Moshe Eliyahu, Psichas Pia Asam, Psichas Pia Aretz, Leflayaz Risham, Korach got swallowed up. V'yesh Aimim here. This Brisa says Av Makloi Shel Aaron, the staff, the stick of Aaron, Shakateu Barachel, the almonds and the flowers on the staff that Aaron had was also created on Erev Shabbos. Yesh Aimrim Av Mazikin, Yesh Aimrim Av Bigdai Shel Adam Arishon. The beged of Adam Arishon, Rashi explains, in this beged, they had all these pictures of all these chayes behemos. V'hu nimsar, Adam Arishon gave it over to Nimrod. He was a big hunter, Akain Yoimru, and we know that from Nimrod it came to Esav, right? Esav had that the beged. What's that?
That was
a sinus pasim?
That was it.
It's brought down that way?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So this Beged that Adam Arisha, Nimrod got, he was a big hunter, and then Asa must have killed Nimrod, and he got this Beged. He was a hunter,
Then
right?
took it from Asa.
He's saying that, that's brought down. Maybe it's a medrash. I'm not sure.
But he said he made for him.
Yeah.
Yaakov made for Joseph.
Yeah, that's when he went into Yitzchak for the bracha. He's wearing the
He made
reach,
it.
right?
Right, but is that the Ksonas Pasam? He's saying that. Let's go. Tanu Rabbanim. Yeah. Tanu Rabbanim. Maybe there is a medrash. Tanu Rabbanim. Shiva Devarim Mechusim Mivnei Adam. There are 7 things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not reveal to a person. What are they? Eilehem Yom HaMisa, the day that he'll die. Because if you don't know the day you'll die, you'll always think tomorrow's the day. You'll always do tshuva.
Not tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's the day. Today's the day.
Always be depressed.
The Yom Menachem. That's also true, right? The Yom Menachem. Also, a person should know when he'll have the nechama from his worries. In other words, he should know that it's coming. You'll daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but if you know that it's going to be in 3 months, that's where you might be depressed too, or you might be happy that I'm suffering now for 3 months. I won't do good business. Sometimes you should think, I'll daven and daven. It's going to come. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give you the nechama. V'oimek adin. Also, to understand, you don't understand. Sometimes you make mistakes of what is right and what is wrong. A person can't know what the guy is thinking of, because you'll never have it. You'll hate everybody in the world because you know exactly what's going on in their mind. He doesn't know how is he going to do business, how he's going to make a living, because he'll be davening constantly. He won't know also when the Mashiach is going to come. And also you won't know when your enemy will be destroyed, because your tefillahs are going to be different. Here we have 3 things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create, and if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have, but it has to come, because a person cannot survive without these things. What are they? If a person's loved one died, his body should be masriach. Rashi says, if not, the karoivim would be matzniya, also would keep it in the house. They'll always be in pain. So in other words, you have to bury your loved ones, and they should be like Gemara says, and through that, the mace. But if you have your mace and it's not masriach and you keep it in your house, you'll never survive. You'll always be sad and cry. Right? And also that tefua should spoil. Rashi says if it doesn't spoil, so people are going to start storing it in their homes. It's not going to be out there for sale, and some people that don't have that won't be able to eat because everybody's going to keep it for themselves. But if you know that something's going to spoil, you're going to make sure to find people to eat it. And also, Yesh Ayrim means al matbeya sheyotza. We should have a coinage system. In other words, pshat is that if you have a field, so you're going to be a farmer, so you could take care of yourself. How about the guy that lives in the city and he doesn't have that farmland? How is he going to survive? He has to have a few dollars to go to the farmer and pay him money. So if you don't have that money, there won't be any survival. People won't have any food to eat. Or else everybody has to be a farmer. Mishnah. Now it comes to Tisha B'Av. If somebody has a minute that you're allowed to do malacha on Tisha B'Av, go ahead. Oisen. Mokim shenaglish loy lasses malacha ein oisen. But b'chol mokim talmid chacham betelim. A talmid chacham should not work on Tisha B'Av.
What you supposed to do? You can't work, can't learn, can't do nothing.
Right. So you think, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to think of the Churban Beis Hamikdash. That's the reason why you can't work. So you should, if you're working, you're not thinking that what we lost from the Beis Hamikdash. Every person should make himself a Talmud Chacham on Tisha B'Av. And then you're not going to say, "Oh, look at that guy, he's a Baal Gaivanek, huh? He thinks he's a Talmud Chacham." Tisha B'Av, everybody should consider himself like a Talmud Chacham, and you should have a minute not to work. Amar Shmuel, Ein Tainis Siba B'Bavel El Tisha B'Av B'Lvad. In Bavel. In other words, in Eretz Yisrael, they used to have a tiniest tzibor. If you needed rain, and you couldn't survive without rain, so you made this tiniest tzibor, and it was very chamerdik. But in Bavel, since there's enough rain, there was no tiniest tzibor. But what tiniest tzibor did they have in Bavel? That was Tisha B'Av B'Vad. Tisha B'Av had the chumras of the tiniest tzibor that I had in Eretz Yisrael. Remember the Sabbath Shmuel, Tisha B'Av Bein Hashmashos Shalei Aser. You're saying that Tisha B'Av has a din of Tainis Tzibor, and therefore Bein Hashmashos you would have to stop before actually nightfall. V'Amar Shmuel Tisha B'Av Bein Hashmashos Shalei Mutter. So it doesn't have a din of Tainis Tzibor. V'chi Tema maybe Ksav Shmuel call Tainis Tzibor Bein Hashmashos Shalei Mutter. Maybe Shmuel holds every Tainis Tzibor, even in Eretz Yisrael when they needed for rain, Bein Hashmashos was Mutter. So just like in Eretz Yisrael when they had a Tainis Tzibor was Mutter, Tisha B'Av also was Mutter Bein Hashmashos Deed. You didn't have to stop before. But the Gemara no about now we learned that Mishnah. Oichlin v'shaysim b'bayt yain. You're allowed to eat and drink during the day. It's saying that's when you're allowed to eat. But after BAYT Yom, you can't. My love, Lumuti Ben Hashmashos. That's telling you that if you know for sure it's daytime, that's when you're allowed to eat. But once Ben Hashmashos kicks in, you are not allowed to eat. So just like a tiny tzibur you can't eat, so even a Tisha B'Av also you can't eat. When it says that you're allowed to eat BAYT Yom, it doesn't mean that Ben Hashmashos should be aser. Ben Hashmashos is also mutter. It's just coming to tell you Mechashecha, when you know for sure it's dark, it has the same Tisha B'Av has the same din as the Tainis Tzibor in Eretz Yisrael. Namely Messiah Ein Bein Tisha B'Av Yom Kippurim. The whole difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur is Elisha says Sveikai aser, Bezeh Sveikai mutter. So what does that mean? Masveka mutter. What does it mean that on Tisha B'Av this a suffix is mutter? Must be la ben hashmashos. That we're not sure. Twilight. We're not sure. Is it day? Is it the day before, or is it night? Mm-hmm. So he's saying that it's mutter. So you see that Tisha B'Av ben hashmashos is mutter. So when it says the difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur means l'kfiyah the yarcha, to make 2 days. Hachinami, when it says here that Sveikei Mutter means l'kfiyah the yarcha. If you're not sure when Bezdin made Rosh Chodesh, then you have to keep 2 days. By Yom Kippur, not by Tisha B'Av. So what's the obvious question?
You fast for 2 days.
Do we fast Yom Kippur? Here and there, and we have 2 days Yom Tov, right? Because of Kfiyah Yarcha, we're not sure, so why don't we have Yom Kippur? Mm-hmm. So Taisa says, L'Kfiyah Yarcha, Ein Lefarish K'goyim B'nei Bavel, She'en Yoidim Masai Hukva Chodesh Be'eretz Yisrael. Because then, if just like we do Yom Tiv's 2 days, then she tzrichel hasi Yom Kippur Shnei Yomim. We know you only do 1 day. Elohachi Prusha. When it says Sfeik also means in Mistapek Afilu Be'eretz Yisrael, it means in Eretz Yisrael they have a suffix Masai Hukva Chodesh Going Shemahalap and Midbar. Then you're gonna have to do Yom Kippur there 2 days in Eretz Yisrael. Because Eretz Yisrael you rely on the Kfir de Yarcha. Right, you know, and if you have a suffix, then in Eretz Yisrael you're going to have to keep 2 days Yom Kippur. In Bavel, there's never Yom Kippur 2 days.
What's the suffix in Eretz Yisrael? He's in the midbar. That's why.
Wherever it is, you didn't know about the Kfir Yarcha, right?
Only in Eretz Yisrael.
Only in Eretz Yisrael. Normally, you know, everybody knows,
right?
Everybody gets the message in Eretz Yisrael.
What is that word?
Kiviyah the Yarcha, to establish the Rosh Chodesh. Right? Kviyah the Yarcha. So in Eretz Yisrael, everybody knew it. So therefore, we know that you only keep 1 day Yom Tov in Eretz Yisrael. Right? We keep 2 days because we don't know about that. We're too far away. Right?
Yarcha is the Levana.
Yeah, the Yarach of Rosh Chodesh. Right? So, but in Eretz, so when it says there's a suffix, it means that Tisha B'Av you don't have to do 2 days, but Yom Kippur you do have to do 2 days. That's not in Bavel. That only is in Eretz Yisrael, where normally everybody knows that the Kfiyah de Yarcha when Rosh Chodesh is. But if it happens that there is a suffix to you, then you have to keep 2 days Yom Kippur. Okay. But really, Bein Hashmashos is mutter. Darish Rava Ubros, ladies that are pregnant, Umenikos, nursing mothers, Misanos umashlimos, they have to fast, and if they can't, and they break their fast, they have to be mashlimit. Kederach shemisano is mashlimis v'yom kippurim, right? Ubein hashmashos, according to Rabbi Shalo, aser. V'chein amru b'shmeid Rabbi Yochanan. For the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan says that. Umi am Rabbi Yochanan achi. V'am Rabbi Yochanan Tisha B'Av ein a ketaynis sibor. So it must be my love. The Bein Hashmashos, that Bein Hashmashos should be mutter. Where it says Lainain, it means Lamalacha. It means on the day itself. In other words, that Tisha B'Av is not Ketainis Tzibur, means a Tainis Tzibur you can't do work, but on Tisha B'Av you could work. That means Lamalacha. So it's loynei lemalacha. Afraid the Gemara malacha tanina. Why do you need Rabbi Yochanan to tell you that? We already have a brisa, meferish brisa. It says makim shenaga lasses malacha b'tisha b'av osim, but makim shenagam shaloi lasses ein osim. Va'afilu Rav Shimon Gamliel layamar ella kidichi yosef layavid. If a guy sits down and doesn't work, like mechse kiyara, he doesn't look like a balgaiva. Ava mesar like aser, but it's not aser. So really, why do you need Rabbi Yochanan to tell you this? It's a beferish brisa. Ella, my ain't ketainas sibor. When it says that Tisha B'av is not a ketainas sibor, it means l'tfilas ni'ila. It means on a tainas sibor where they're davening for rain in Eretz Yisrael. It's like Yom Kippur, and therefore they made not only a shachris, they made a musaf, they daven mincha, and they put a nila in for that tainas sibor. But on Tisha B'av, it's not like a tainas sibor, and there's no tfilas nila. So if the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan is saying there's no tefillas nila on Tisha B'av. Rabbi Yochanan is saying the best thing is you should daven as much as you want. Rashi says the aim b'tefillah. Rashi says b'seir mishum bracha levatala. Kol hakavod. If a guy on Tisha B'av wants to daven nila, go ahead, let him do it. So what's pshat? So he says, no, Hasam chayva. By a tiny seaboard is a chiyuv to daven nila. But hacha, it's only a rishus.
But that's always, right?
Right?
That's lo'ilam. It's like not just Tisha B'av. Right? The Gemara says lo'ilam, someone should daven a whole day. But that's every day.
Yeah, but it depends what you're davening. You could sit down and daven, you could daven Tillim. But if you daven already Shachris, you can't say, I like Shachris so much, I'm going to start davening again. You can't do that.
Yeah,
so what does Rabbi Yochanan mean?
It means Neila.
No, because Neili didn't daven yet. Right. So if you didn't do that, you could daven that. Look what Taisa says. Afagav Rabbi Yochanan Ayr Dafki B'Safik Le'ispalo. A person is not sure, did I daven Ma'ariv last night or didn't I? So the next morning, make sure daven. Are you going to say maybe it's a tefillah levatola? No. Halavai, a person davens as much as he can. That's only if you're in a stage of suffik. Avavada yispalel. If a person knows he davened Ma'ariv last night, he can't say, I'm going to daven another Shemoneh Esrei. Also ispalel can mucha beperek mishamesa. Right? So therefore, it means Rabbi Yochanan Amar v'levai sheyispal kol hayom v'kamar im ispal l'matzah tzibor. If a person comes to shul and he daven his shachris and he comes in there and they're davening, you know what you should do? You should start davening again with them only im yochel lechadesh davar b'tfilasai. If you have something new, in other words, you're davening for a chola, you're davening for something special, then you could daven. But just like this, to start davening again, I'm going to daven another shachris. You can't do that. So here it also means that tefillas nila means that you didn't do the tefillas nila, but you could daven. But it's not. It's a rishus. The ibais ema. What does it mean? My ain't kind of sibur means le'esrim v'arba. In other words, you had 24 by tiny sibur when you were fasting for rain in Eretz Yisrael. They had 24 brachas. So it means that Tisha B'av does not have that chumrah of 24 brachas. Rapapa Amar Ma Eina Yiketayna Sibur means Eina Karishonos. It doesn't mean for a kula. It means Eina Karishonos Elika Achronos. It means for chumrah, and it's telling you that it's going to be mutter. The asura. Sorry. The Gemara Meisvei. Right? Rashi says. The high to come any ketayna sibur means l'chumra kama v'achi kama. You see the end of the first wide line v'achi kama. Eina kishalois rishayna shemuter bein hashmasa shalem ketnan b'tainis. It's not. There were different tainis sibors. What they did, right? There were 3 of them at this time in the month and 3 of them at the end. So in other words, it's saying that Tisha B'av doesn't have a kula like the first three tainis, but it gets the chumras of the achronos, right? That you have to stop, and therefore ben hashmashos will be usher. You can only eat when you know for sure it's daytime, but once you're not sure, even Tisha B'av you have to stop. So really, you're taking the chumras of the last tainis tzibor. But meisvei ain ben Tisha B'av liyom kippurim el shezeh sveike usher. It says Tisha B'av will be mutter. My sveike mutter la bein hashmashos shelo. So it says bein hashmashos is mutter. But we just finished saying that Tisha B'av is chumra ka'achronos, that it should be aser. Rav Shisha B'rei Ravida Loinein. It means, let's just says Sveikim Mutta means L'Kfir Yarcha. It means for Kfir Yarcha, if you're not sure about the month, on Tisha B'Av you only have to fast one day. You don't have to fast 2 days, but in Yom Kippur and Eretz Yisrael, you do have to fast 2 days. Now the Gemara says, Rashi says, it's a milsa b'api nafshiyu. It's a new thing now. It has nothing. Chol devarim zev zev shavim. So it's a mashma between Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. The things that were listed that they're different, that's where they're different. But everything else, Tisha B'Av is exactly the same din as Yom Kippur. The Gemara says, Messiah Rab Lazar, the Amr Rab Lazar, Asalai Adam Shiyashid Etzbav B'Mayim B'Tisha B'Av. A person, even on Tisha B'Av, cannot stick his finger in water. Just like you cannot stick your finger in water on Yom Kippur, you can't do that on Tisha B'Av. But Meisvei ain't bein Tisha B'Av the tiny Sibor El Shezeh Asa Basiz Malacha V'Zeh Muta Basiz Malacha Makaim B'Makim Shenago. But it's Mashma Halachol Devreim Zev Zeh Shavim that Tisha B'Av is similar to a tiny Sibor, and we know V'Ilagab tiny Sibor Tanya. We know on a tiny Sibor that they made for the rain. Amru Asa Brechitza. You can't take a shower or a bath. But a tiny Sibor, you could stick your finger in water. Therefore, Tisha B'Av, you could also stick it in water. So why are we just saying now that Tisha B'Av has like Yom Kippur? Here we have another brisa that says that it's like tiny Sibor. So Amra Papin, no, Tane, Kule, Kitani. In other words, this Tane is just basically listing what it is. So basically, he's listing this is what Tisha B'Av has a different, is more cooler than Yom Kippur. And then at the end, the Tana lists what Tisha B'Av is not as cooladik as tiny Sibor. In other words, a tiny Sibor you can't stick your finger in, but a Tisha B'Av would actually be more stricter than a tiny Sibor.